Hello and happy Easter, I guess, if you celebrate this. Today we're going to take a look at a team that is, of course, Easter themed. We're going to have two bunnies, one egg bunny, which is actually perfect in the Zoom roll, but also the bunny of Lopunny, and of course some eggs in the back with our Chansey. This is, of course, a meme team, and I did not really expect that this team would work out at all. But it was actually a lot of fun to play, and honestly, my favorite Pokemon of this team was Lopunny. Like, Lopunny is such a fun Pokemon to play. It is kind of funny, because like the thing is, you're going to generate energy fairly fast to still do some decent damage with your fast move, and also you have Focus Blast, which came in clutch quite often. I can spoiler that already to you, like Focus Blast going to hit quite often today, so definitely stay tuned for some exciting battles and also some non-exciting battles, because we have Chansey on the team. Kinda like the standard Pokemon for those kind of Easter events, I guess. Like Chansey is usually in the spawn pools of like those Easter events, but this year we don't get an Easter event, which I find kind of interesting. Like, I don't really know why we didn't get anything, but at least we're gonna have a Team Go Rocket event instead, which is kind of the same, right? So here, first battle, we will be able to see that they have a Whiscash in the back, and basically with this team you kind of want to keep all your Pokemon alive, so I will be able to get some damage onto them, and I can catch the move onto my Chansey, and with this game is basically over. The opponent knows it as well, and they decide to forfeit this game now. Moving on to the next opponent, we're going to see now that they're going to have a Lantern in the back, or like in the lead here to be fair. So we're going to have to swap out immediately into our Lopunny. Lopunny has access to Focus Blast, but a lot of people expect something like a Hyper Beam, which this Pokemon learns as well on this thing. So I decided to go for the bait first of Triple Axle, which guarantees us an attack boost, which is like so much fun to play. I was really hoping that we would get out some Gligar with this Pokemon, but sadly, spoiler alert as well, we never got out a Gligar, but we got out a Focus Blast, as you can see there, which is going to be amazing because it can realign, and we can go for another Triple Axle, which is going to do neutral damage, but we're already buffed from before. So half of the opponent's health is gone, and I decided to swap out here. Why? Because I want to keep my Lopunny around, just to keep in general Pokemon around. If we need to win by timeout, we would rather have another Pokemon in the back, but here, as you can see, they're going to have a Trevenant in the back, which is going to be great for us. Seed Bomb is coming through, and so we can go for another Ice Beam. That's going to be a CMP tie. We still survive the Seed Bomb, and they are most likely not going to decide to use a shield here. And so the opponent has one Pokemon. It's going to be a Sableye, which has Shadow Claw as a fast move, and it's already pretty low, and we still can actually survive a foul play here. And so I can swap out, and now I have 3 Pokemon left and my Chansey, and the opponent has nowhere to go. They can still go for a charge move, but I think now they realize as well they don't get to through the Chansey, and so we can move on to the next opponent. Azumarill against Azumarill. Not really a lead that I like to have, because our team is kind of built around keeping the Azumarill around for fighting type Pokemon, swapping into our Lopunny to, okay, not really get out fighting type Pokemon. I don't really want to get out fighting type Pokemon, but just having this as a safe swap, we have 2 normal types in the back. We need something that can counter fighting types, so I kind of don't really want to get my Azumarill low, but I can also not swap out because my Lopunny's moveset is completely hardwalled by Azumarill, and this is going to be a little bit of a trickier one now, because we have to let the move go through. It's going to be a play rough. We have basically nearly a rank 1 Azumarill. I don't know, I think it's like a rank 4 or something, and we will be able to win the CMP tie here, but what we see as well is I have a 1 less HP than the opponent. And this actually matters quite a bit, because now they can knock me out and I cannot knock them out, which is kinda wild. So that is a matchup that I've never seen like this, but we will see that they're gonna swap out into a Lantern here, which I'm totally okay with. I can use a shield. It's going to be a Surf, not ideal. I wish it would have been a Thunderbolt, but we can still go for another charge move here, trying to bait out a shield. It works out pretty well, and you know already what we're going to do next. Focus Blast is coming through. Is this going to connect against the opponent? Boom, it does, and so the opponent is not going to go down, but the opponent is going to be insanely low at this point. Thunderbolt coming through, in comes an Obstagoon. I don't think there would have been a Pokemon that could have been worse for us than Obstagoon, because at this point I'm forced to swap out, otherwise I would already have a Cross Chop stored. And I'm not too sure if they're going to be in range for a Hyper Beam. We have Hyper Beam, but of course we also have Zen Headbutt as a fast move, which is sadly better than Pound nowadays. Pound back in the day was the better fast move to go for Chansey, but they changed it because Chansey was too broken in certain cups, and so now a Pound is not ideal, and it's better to go for Zen Headbutt. But of course in this scenario I would have rather had Pound, which would have done like neutral damage at least. Here double resisted damage, and sadly the Hyper Beam was not enough, but we can still at least get one fast move in here. But is this enough to get them into farming range for the Chansey? It is going to be close, but I don't think that this is going to work out. We basically do 1 damage all the time, and so sadly they're going going to be able to knock us out here. The clock is coming up, but we're gonna lose this game. Next opponent, amazing lead for us. And we're gonna see the Gligar, we're gonna see also a Charger Bug coming in. And this is like a matchup. This is also, by the way, the matchups here, the gameplay today is sped up by 2 times. Usually I have it a little bit lower than 2 times because it's easier to commentate. But with Chansey, you kind of want to not commentate everything, as Chansey's matchups just take 10 years. But of course, it's an Easter themed team. Of course, Chansey has to be in here. So what we can try to go for is we can try to go for the Hyper Beam, as Hyper Beam won't do a ton of damage, but they might want to use a shield in order to realign themselves, which I would be okay with as well, because what we're gonna get out of here is basically the Charger Bug needs to use their energy quite often still against our Chansey, and also we all have them already at half health, and we have a shield advantage, and I'm totally okay with this, because we can just go into our Lopunny afterwards and just go for the ice move of Triple Axel and just boost our attack the entire time. And that's exactly what I'm gonna try to do here, but they might still be able to reach another charge move in time, maybe even 2, and this might be a little bit of an issue. But we know already that they're going to have the Gligar, and Gligar is going to get one-shot by our Ice-type move, so they have to go into their final Pokemon, which you're going to see now because I'm using a shield here again, knowing that I can basically knock out the Gligar no matter which Pokemon I use here. But we're going to see what they have in the back. It is going to be a Lantern. It's going to be the Water Gun Lantern, and I decide to go for the bait. Let's see, do they use a shield? They decide to use a shield, and so we have a double buffed Lopunny, but I'm fairly certain they're going to try to catch a move now onto the Gligar, which does not work out for them because we can swap out and we have a Focus Blast stored. And this Focus Blast should be basically enough to put the opponent into a range where the Lantern cannot do anything, and they know this as well, and they decide to forfeit at this point. Next opponent, great to encounter the Annihilape in the lead because I don't want to face it with my backline. So we can go for one Ice Beam here. Ice Beam is not going to knock them out, but they're always going to shield anyway, especially if they haven't thrown their own charge move yet. And so I decided to use a shield here as well, as Shadow Ball does hurt quite a bit against Azumarill. In comes a Wigglytuff. This matchup is actually kind of okay for my Chansey, and I kind of want to go into this matchup very soon with my Chansey as well, as now I can just overfarm by a little bit maybe as well, but I'm gonna try to go for a Psychic kind of immediately, because Psychic is going to not do enough damage anyway to knock them out, but we're also going to get debuffed the entire time. So Psychic is coming through, going to connect, and we will see as well that the opponent is still going to like hang in here, but they can go for another charge move, debuff me even further most likely. And now they can swap out into the Annihilape. We do super effective damage, which does not really look like the super effective damage, but they can go for a Night Stage and I can swap out again, which is going to be very important, as now we can get them a little bit lower, and getting them lower is really good for us. As you can see here, Shadow Ball coming through, we're going to be able to use a shield, and we can try to go for an Ice Beam. This is working out pretty well, as this is going to get either the shield or the knockout. We take the knockout. In comes a Girafarig, a Pokemon that is actually fairly interesting right now, and maybe is something worth looking at, because Girafarig has a very interesting typing. And normal and the Psychic typing is really great in order to beat those Fighting type Pokemon right now, but also against something like the Lickitung you're going to be kind of great, and you also have great coverage on this Pokemon. So honestly, Girafarig might be a Pokemon I kind of want to take a look at as well. I feel like it's a kind of underrated Pokemon right now to play. I think also got like Trailblaze for like Lantern, so like this Pokemon could have great coverage. I don't know if it actually got Trailblaze. Let me check real quick on the side while I have it open. It actually did get the move Trailblaze, and so Trailblaze most likely would be even greater for this Pokemon as well. So Psychic Fang's Trailblaze variant of the Girafarig looks like a lot of fun to play. But of course, if you want to run Thunderbolt, this helps you out with the Skarmory, but we don't really care, we can still win. Next opponent, we're going to have a Swampert in the lead. This is going to be great for us. Shadow Swampert is going to be something that we can definitely still deal with, but it can be a little bit tricky. I decided to use a shield here. They decided to go for the Hydro Cannon. Not ideal for me, but the Play Rough is coming through. Let's see if they're going to let this move go through. They still would be able to survive the first one, just barely, but they decide to use a shield, and so they can go for another charge move. It's going to be the Earthquake. We kind of still have to keep our shields a little bit for Lopunny, but I can go for another Play Rough, forcing another shield. Let's see here, and we can swap out. Lopunny is going to try to go for the Triple Axel in time and try to knock them out, but let's see what he can still do here. Hydro Cannon coming in, and they go into their Sableye, a matchup that I actually thought would be a little bit better for me, because we have like neutral charge moves and like only single resisted fast moves, and they fast moves are double resisted against us. So here I was kind of hopeful that we're going to be able to completely destroy him in this matchup, but let's see if that's going to actually work out for us. Return is coming through, and we can still go for a triple XL, boost our attack, and knock them out, and we can realign, which can be very crucial. Let's see what they have in the back. It's going to be the Sand Slash, sadly with Powder Snow. If they had the Shadow Claw variant, we would have been way better off, but now I have my Chansey against the opponent, which hopefully is still going to be able to put in some work. Let's see here, we can try to go for another Hyper Beam against the opponent's Steel type, but I feel like Hyper Beam is still not enough, even though the opponent is kind of glassy, they are Shadow. But again, like if they had Shadow Claw as a fast move, we would have been so much better off, as all those normal type basically would be able to resist it. But here we can still reach the Hyper Beam. Let's see, Hyper Beam is coming through, boom, going to not knock them out, but we can snipe them with the Azumarill. And so we have to hope that we can somehow farm down the opponent's Swampert at this point. It is going to be close. I can go back into my Chansey here. I can still most likely survive a Hydro Cannon, but I think they just overfarm a little bit too fast here. First Hydro Cannon coming through doesn't knock me out, and they can still reach another one. Good game there, very, very close though, and so we can move on to the next opponent. Magnezone. Literally worst possible lead here, but I can swap out into my Lopunny and they decide to swap out into their Mantine. I don't want this matchup. I just don't want this matchup, but this matchup can take quite a while, which can be very decent for us because we can also win by timeout. And so I can take one Aerial Ace. We are, by the way, not a Fighting type Pokemon. Why we have two Fighting type moves and the Mega Evolution is Fighting type. The normal Lopunny is just a pure normal type Pokemon, which I find is kind of sad. I feel like it would have been way cooler if it would have been also a Fighting type, but it is what it is. We can still go ahead, go for a triple XL, going to be able to get the shield from the opponent, so I decided to use a shield as well, as I should be able to reach my next move in time as well again before they can go for their own. And so at this point, shields are down on both sides, and I can just swap into my Chansey. As now they swap into their own Magnezone, but basically they're forced to go for Mirror Shot, which doesn't do damage, because the Wild Charge would just debuff them the entire time, and we would be easily able to just knock them out with our Chansey. But what we're going to see as well is that the opponent is insanely unlucky. I mean, Mirror Shot has a 30% chance to debuff our own attack, but the opponent never going to get it. Like, Chansey's attack is just not going to get dropped, honestly. Like, even if they're gonna get the debuff, it's not going to change too much. Our attack is already completely low, but it doesn't really matter because I can hit this Hyper Beam now against them, get them fairly low, and I can even swap out now into the Lopunny, trying to catch a move, but also get an extra free fast move in, and we're gonna get the final Pokemon out, which is now locked against our Azumarill. What we can do is, we can let this move go through, of course, but the opponent's forced to go into the Magnezone, which should be locked then again afterwards, and he should be able to just farm everything down, because the Magnezone is at like 1 HP. They're going to have two Wild Charges, which can definitely hurt quite a bit, but also the Mantine should be fairly low. So we can easily take a Wild Charge here, does basically no damage, but they actually decide to go for the Mirror Shot, which is even better for us. I'm fairly certain I had a Wild Charge stored already, but Aerial Ace not going to do enough. We can farm them down and win this game. Final game for the day. This was actually a very interesting one. We're going to see here the Sableye against us, which is going to be a great matchup for us, especially the Shadow variant doesn't run Return because it cannot run Return, so Power Gem is coming through. We can go for an Ice Beam. Ice Beam is going to be able to get the shield from the opponent, but not only this, we can get another one with this Ice Beam, as the opponent did not expect us to throw immediately. This is going to be great because now Lopunny is going to be able to just launch a Focus Blast freely against the Vigoroth. The opponent can't do anything against it, but here is one issue. They are running Brick Break, and them running Brick Break is going to change the entire game, which you're going to see right now. We're going to be able to knock them out, of course, but what they can do is they can go into the Sableye. And I was thinking I should be able to outspeed them at this point. They're going to go for the foul play, and I am losing CMP tie, which I didn't know and didn't expect, but also they can now knock me out. This would have never knocked me out without the debuff from Brick Break, and so like I would have been able to still keep alignment. The Sableye would have been gone at this point, and also just in general, like this game would have been such a different one if they didn't run Brick Break on a Vigoroth. This was the first Brick Break Vigoroth I've seen so far. Like nobody was ever running Brick Break against me so far, and so yeah, maybe something I should also take a look at. Let me know in the comment section if you want to see a Brick Break Vigoroth review, but yeah, definitely going to be an interesting one. There's going to be also a Shadow variant of the Bastion review coming up eventually. I'm still doing some battles with this Pokemon, but here we're still trying our best against the Azumarill. I can still try to go for a Psychic because I'm kind of close to a charge move with my own Azumarill, and my hope at this point is that I can still get a bubble off against the opponent's Sableye just to get some damage in. Try to knock them out here with our Play Rough, which I know at this point, after seeing the Psychic damage, Also kind of sucks that Psychic got nerfed before, but here we're gonna see that they can still survive it. They don't get the bubble damage onto their Sableye, and so this game is sadly going to be over, as we are not going to be able to get the farm down in time. We would have been able to do it with the extra bubble damage, but I think they might still be able to knock me out with the Azumarill, who knows, but here they can still even get to 2 charge moves, and so it is what it is. Thanks all for watching, hopefully you have great holidays, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.